Welcome to the Driven Moms Answering Adversity interview series, Stories of Success Through Setbacks from Mom Elevated. Together, we can shine a light on how normal challenges and struggles are, along with how we can overcome and rise above them. Today, we have Shelly with us to share her story, and I'm so excited to dive into it. So, Shelly, would you mind sharing just a little bit briefly about your story to get started?
Absolutely. Jessica, I'm a coach now. I think about the thoughts in our head. Literally, your thoughts is my day job. But it wasn't always that way. Like I had a baby about 8 years ago. She's amazing and incredible, and I love her. But when she popped out, there was just kind of this blank space where there was supposed to be this ooey gooey love. And instead of this ooey gooey love, what filled up that blank space was just, I should be better
Oh,
in every way as a mom. I should have done this. I should have done that. I should have cleaned the kitchen. I should be whatever it was. Like, that's just what my brain decided to tell myself.
okay.
Which, as you can probably guess, what I'm describing is postpartum anxiety. The only saving grace of this was that my daughter was happy, healthy, thriving. So no one was like looking at me and being like, oh, your baby's not doing well. They're like, she's amazing. Obviously, you're amazing. I'm like, well, no, I'm not. I'm not sleeping. I'm telling myself I need to do more all day.
Yeah.
And as part of this postpartum anxiety, I finally got help. And I'll talk about that. But I became a coach. Long story short is that now I don't tell myself that I should be better every day.
Yeah.
I don't wake up and dump on myself in the morning. I don't look around and compare myself to others. And the reason I don't do that is because I got back in charge of what I tell myself in my head. And as I was on this journey, I realized, like, as mums, we are just like stuck in this sense of we have to always think worse of ourselves in order to push ourselves to keep going. And that's not true. And that's the story that I'm coming with to you is like, when we go through adversity, we either get stronger or we stay stuck.
Yeah. That's powerful.
Thank you for having me on, because it's such a way to normalize going through mental challenges when a baby pops out and everything's meant to be happy and wonderful and lovely.
Well,
And
and
your best friend down the road is just loving motherhood. And I'm like, I can't be with you right now because I can't relate to that joy.
yeah. Do you also think like I guess I didn't realize either when I got into motherhood and all the things, I didn't really realize all of the postpartum things that are possible. I didn't realize, I mean, I feel like I knew a lot about kids and motherhood. I babysat, I nannied, I did all the things. I worked in preschools, but I didn't realize, and I always wanted to be a mom of a lot of kids. But I guess I didn't realize all the different mental things that can happen, like postpartum psychosis, postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety. I didn't realize all of the things that even exist. And I feel like that's really, I feel like in the last couple of years, we're starting to finally highlight them a little bit so that they're not so hidden or scary or like it's more common, so it's okay to ask about it. Is that something that you struggled with figuring out about postpartum anxiety? Is that you like didn't even know it was possible or
I've got one for you, actually.
Oh, good.
I don't know if I told you this earlier, but it's the one time Dr. Google actually paid off. I basically Googled something along the lines of feeling very awful while breastfeeding.
Oh,
And it's called DMER, dysphoric milk ejection reflex.
oh wow.
So the easiest way to describe it is like, when you put I don't know if you're breastfed, but
I
when you
did.
put your baby on the breast, the milk has this kind of microsecond where it lets down. The milk
Yeah.
lets down. So just about 30 seconds before that letdown happens, your hormones have to go kind of up and down to make the milk come out. What happens when you have DMER is it's dysphoric. It feels like in that moment of letdown that the dementors out of Harry Potter have sucked your soul out. So
Okay.
you go through this. For me, it was like a massive sense of sickness, like a homesickness, like the gut, like your bottom's just dropped out of your world kind of thing.
Oh,
For
wow.
other people, it can be massive aversion to being touched, rage, frustration, extreme sadness. It's like this massive like hormone dip that goes up and down. Like it should just go up and down. It goes up and then down to the floor.
Oh,
And because it happens during letdown or just before letdown, it will happen multiple times a day,
okay.
often multiple times a feed. So you're on this kind of roller coaster of just feeling terrible when you
Yeah.
breastfeed, when it's meant to be like this loving bonding experience. And when you put this kind of up and downness together with the kind of more general postpartum anxiety, it's really hard to figure out what is actually happening.
Yeah.
I was sitting on the couch one day and my husband like came in through the sliding door just as I was breastfeeding, and he like saw me for the first time and just watched like the blood drain from my face. He opened up the sliding door and he said, "Who's died?" That was the feeling that he got from me. I'm like, no, this is just me breastfeeding. Oh my gosh.
Wow. How receptive of him to see that though, and like
Full
that's
credit to him. He's
yeah,
very observant.
that's very that's
He's
good. I
very,
mean, yeah.
very aware of my body language.
But was
Um,
that kind of a wake-up call to you too, that he was able to visibly see that on you?
yeah, I think so. There were a couple of wake up calls. That was an earlier one. And then later on, kind of as I was dropping my daughter at daycare, she was a bit older by then, probably a year and a half. I would drop her off and I would drive 15 minutes to work on the highway. And this particular time, I had pulled off the side of the highway because I was crying so badly that I couldn't drive. And my husband was driving around doing his job. He drives the other way, sees me pulled on the side of the road. He like flips you. He comes by. His boss drops him off. He's like, "Go see what's wrong with your wife." He's like, "What's wrong?" I'm like, "It's just me in the morning. I cry while I'm going to work. I'm crying. Like this is my natural day." He's like, he's safety dad. He's like, "You cry while driving?" I'm not a good driver. This
Oh
is
no.
not a safe thing. So that was one of those other big wake up calls, not just to me and my family, but that when you're a mum, crying every day isn't normal.
Yeah.
It means that something. I talk about how many tears have you cried today, and what kind were they? Like, were they the happy kind or the sad kind or the this will never get better and this is my life forever kind of cry?
Oh, those are
Yeah.
deep questions too. That's a great baseline to think about, and wow. Okay.
And for me, it was the I don't know how to fix this. This will never get better. I'm just a terrible person kind of weeping cry that happens every day. It wasn't like the cry that you have and it's big release and then you feel better. It was like this kind of constant going of the tears are always there. They were
Yeah,
just coming out at that point.
that makes sense. Would you would you say that is the biggest adversity you answered? I'm obviously that's like I have noticed that a lot of people talk about adversity as being like a pivotal moment, but this was like over the course of years where this culminated and just happened and happened. So do you think that was the biggest or the toughest part of the adversity that you finally were just like, I need to figure this out. This keeps occurring.
Yeah, there were quite a few moments because there was that initial, actually, full nearly 2 years where we didn't know what was going on. I
Yeah.
was going to counseling thinking, I just need to do more counseling. I just need to be better. And eventually I finished breastfeeding. My counselor sent me back to my doctor. She's like, something's still not right. Go talk to her. And very, very quickly, they got me onto some tablets and medication to help the hormones and the postpartum anxiety. So
Yeah.
that was a moment where I'm like, okay, we can fix this. And then
This
I was, yeah, we can fix it. And then I was on like the tablets long enough to feel kind of better. This is now, coming into 3 years now,
yeah.
close to 3 years. So in that time, my brain was like, okay, this is the new story you tell yourself. You're a terrible person. So that kind of groove in my brain stayed around even after I'd finished the temporary medication.
Wow.
And people don't realize this. If it's, I think, a short thing, you're like, oh, yeah, you go back to normal. But when you're in it for such a long time period before you're even starting to treat it, it's really easy to stay in this pattern of believing that motherhood is just something that now we doubt ourselves.
Yeah. I think that's a
And
really important thing to have said. It's a pattern that you have now gotten into, almost like a habit, and so it's harder
yeah,
to break that too.
and this habit started, it was almost a good thing at the time because without doubting and pushing and criticizing myself, I wouldn't have been able to take care of my family and my daughter. But
Yeah.
now I have the energy back, but I'm still doubting and criticizing and pushing myself. So we're in this pattern because it still feels like it's working and helping.
Yeah.
But
That
when we take a kind of a bigger aerial view, we're like, well, no, it isn't because we're not enjoying our days.
how did you go about trying to break that habit or resetting that pattern or, changing what that pattern was, what you were telling yourself? That's so powerful. It's words matter. They really do.
They do. And we get stuck in words that really don't help.
Yeah.
I I got coached. And I only found coaching because I was using it for a business I was starting at the time, which was a different business. And then I realized that the reason I can't do this business is because I'm not believing that I'm worthy. Like I don't like myself. I don't love myself.
Yeah.
So a lot of the early coaching that I did was just about stopping that pattern of shooting on myself.
Yeah.
And it is possible to do that. People don't realize this, but it is possible to stop waking up and 20 times an hour saying to yourself, I should have done that. I should have put the garbage out. I should have washed the kitchen dishes the night before. I should have packed my daughter's lunch the night before. Now I'm late. I should have, should have, should have. It's brutal when that's your brain doing that.
Oh, that's gave me goosebumps. It's because
There's
it's so true.
there's so many people hearing this right now being like, oh my gosh, I'm doing this. I didn't even realize I was doing it. And the thing is, when you're shooting on yourself all day, it doesn't matter how nice people are to you. It doesn't matter how amazing your day is. It doesn't even matter how much you're in love with your kids
Yeah.
because you're not in love with you.
How did you go about, with your coaching? What was like what was a big step you took in really changing that should or removing it even, I guess, and saying more of like what you are, what are facts and what are opinions, Like what's the difference
Yeah.
between
So
truth
I want to share the big picture, and then I'm going to give you two examples.
okay.
Because the big picture is we need to start noticing the thoughts in our head, the words, the sentences that we tell ourselves. And we need to start realizing that, yes, it's an opinion, and I'll tell you how in a minute, and that opinion creates the feeling in our body. So I should have done the laundry. Now I feel either shame or guilt,
Yeah.
most likely guilt. I should have done the laundry by now. And when we start noticing that we have a thought and it creates a feeling, and then we start doing actions from that feeling, one of the things I learned in my coaching was how to write that down on paper. Because when we write it down on paper, we can look at it as a story instead of as a fact.
Oh.
So my kitchen example, which I have, is that I was always, and I still am actually. The best part is it's dirty now, and I don't even care. I I haven't cleaned out the breakfast dishes. That's okay. It was I should have cleaned the kitchen. I should have done the dishes. So I had to really neutralize that. So instead of saying I should have, what I did was make it very neutral and say, I have a kitchen.
Okay.
and I would walk around the house and be like, I have a kitchen. And every time the should came up, I would say, I have a kitchen. And the other thing I did was allow the guilt of the sentence that was I should have. So I should have. And then I would allow the shame and allow the guilt. And that's the thing we don't know how to do either. And I teach people how to allow their feelings,
Yeah.
so that they don't have to stay in the story. So when you allow the feeling, it makes the story kind of get wavy and go away. It doesn't stay the truth. So for a while, I was walking around saying, I have a kitchen, and allowing shame every time it came up. And then it was something like, I have a blue kitchen.
That's
And gradually it was like, I have a kitchen with dishes. I have a kitchen I like to cook in. And it got gradually better and better and better. I have
right.
a kitchen I love. I love to tidy my kitchen. I love cooking in a clean kitchen. And
Okay.
I'm looking over it as I speak, and sort of you can see how changing those sentences one by one, going from this really uncomfortable sentence of I should have to this level of like just very neutralist. I have a kitchen. Or it might be, I have a body. I have a house. I have clothes.
That's
I am a person. Like it's
so simple.
very neutral. It's very, very factual.
Yeah. It's so simple that it's like we tend to overcomplicate things so much that it just like take out all the adverbs, take out all the adjectives. It is what it is. And that is
Yeah.
as simple as you need to make it. That's amazing. Honestly, like that's a big light bulb moment. I think that's beautiful. I've never really thought of it that way. And I've heard that you have to feel it to heal it. I've heard so many things about you need to, change. I've even done some meditation, some journaling, things like that. But I feel like the way that you described it is so, it works very well in my brain anyway. I'm sure it does for many others as well, but it's such a beautifully simplistic way to describe it that it's like, "Oh, of course. Of course."
Yeah. So now we need to question the factual part, the opinion part. So I want you to picture there's 100 people squished into your living room, your open space around your kitchen, and they all get a vote. Question is, should Shelley have cleaned her kitchen the night before? Yes or no? Now they all get to watch me be super tired and go to bed early because I'm super tired. So they all vote. Some of them are going to vote someone be like, yes, she absolutely should have cleaned her kitchen. Others are going to be like, you know what? The best thing for her was to go to bed early, get a good night's sleep. So because these 100 people aren't all voting the same way, it's an opinion.
Okay.
And then because you're mentally visualizing 100 people squished up like all different people, all different sizes and shapes and places they're from, and they're like, okay, we're voting, and they can barely squish their arms up. So because we've got this image of the 100 people voting a different way, it means it's an opinion. So because it's an opinion, that means that that sentence will create a feeling in our body.
Okay.
That feeling in our body then creates the actions we do. And in this case, the actions from not cleaning the kitchen and feeling shame is to double down on not cleaning the kitchen. And then ruminate in my head and tell myself, and then walk around the house and notice everything else I haven't done. And the result is I believe in myself that I'm a terrible person. I believe that I'm not good enough. And that was a very, very long period of time, probably 3 or 4 years, where I was gradually unwriting each little piece and learning how to coach other people so that they could also feel better and not have the shoulds in their head anymore.
Yeah. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. Kudos to you for doing all of that work because it is hard work to rewire and to reframe those thoughts.
Yeah. And I kept thinking, I need to do this because there's somebody else I need to teach this to in like 3 weeks or 6 weeks.
All right.
And it would come along, I'd work through a piece, and then I'd have a client that was like, I'm like, I've done this. I know how to get you through it. We're going to do it today.
That's
And it was
beautiful.
just so rewarding. Be like the adversity I pushed through was to help others.
Yeah. So on that note, because you said you were trying to start a business before you got into coaching and realized that it was something else you needed to work on first before you went into another business, what do you think it is about entrepreneurs, especially, that makes us continue on through those challenges without giving up? Where you're like, I'm still gonna, here I am, that business didn't work, but I'm gonna do another business. I'm still here, still showing up. I'm gonna learn this week, so 3 weeks I can help somebody else. What do you think it is about us that is like, nope, we're gonna keep going. It's tough, but we're gonna get there.
I think it's because it feels good to keep going.
Oh, nobody's ever said that yet. That's beautiful.
It feels better to feel like you're making progress than staying where you are. Because quite often, staying where you are is the hardest place.
Yeah,
And because the thoughts in our head are always changing, we are always changing. There's always hope to move forwards. And the reason we move forward is because either we can see that we're helping ourselves or we can see that we're helping or going to help others. Maybe that's our family, our kids, or our clients. But we keep going because the other option is stopping.
yeah.
And stopping feels awful.
And hard still.
Yeah.
It's just as hard to stay where you are than to do the work and improve, get better progress, and hopefully get to a better place.
Yeah. And sometimes improving feels really, really hard because we have to allow all those feelings of disappointment and failure and unbelief.
Yeah,
And the three things as an entrepreneur that we need more than anything else that keep us going is belief in ourselves. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you believe that you're worthy to be successful?
yeah.
You want to get it to a 10. On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do we believe that our product, thing, service will help others? Will do the thing that it's designed to do.
Yeah,
And most people, they really believe in what they do, or they see their capability. They're like, yes, I can help people with the service I provide. They believe it out of 10. So that's two of them: belief in self, belief in your product or service. But the third one people don't realize is it's belief in your clients,
yeah.
belief that they are out there, that they want what you have and they're willing to pay for it,
So
and that you
true.
can find them.
That is a really important one. That's huge. I love that.
So if everybody right now just takes a pen and paper and writes down their score of 1 to 10 on all those three things, they're going to realize where they're ruminating on,
And
where
where
their
they need to
brain is
improve.
spinning. Yeah, where they have to grow, right?
I love that. Okay, so then on that note, what biggest takeaway or overall lesson do you think that other mompreneurs would be able to use from your specific experience?
The allowing of shame and guilt, because shame and guilt keep us stuck. Society is designed to keep us feeling shame and guilt because it keeps us down. And I'd say society over hundreds and hundreds of generations.
I think that's so true. And I feel like it's tied into a lot, oftentimes it's tied into the expectations that we feel we have to live up to, whether it's from our family, our friends, society, things we're
Yeah.
seeing. And it's so easy to get lost in that you kind of have to learn which expectations to let go of, and what your own expectations are even. Sometimes your own can hold you back so much. Uh,
Yeah. And break that pattern of using expectations as the fuel to keep you going forward when they're judgmental expectations.
yeah.
Like self-judging, we use as a way to get us out of bed every morning, but it doesn't feel fun when our feet hit the floor.
Yep. Absolutely. Oh, I love that. What would you say then is the best way for others? Shelly, this has been such a delight for me. I have
It's
to
so
introduce
fun
myself.
having these conversations because I come up with new stuff all the time.
It's so enlightening. I saw you jotting some things down even, so I think it's beautiful. But what is the best way for others to find you if they want to work with you, if they want to learn more about you, if they want the freebie that you are working on, and it's going to
I
be wonderful.
I
Uh,
did tell you about that.
you did.
It is a freebie to help people, especially women, allow and release shame in their life. And it's a 3-part video series. I promise you it'll be up by the time you're listening to this. You can go to my website, shellybortolotto.com, click on it and grab it. And I play in Facebook, so you can also jump on and find me on Facebook. That's where I love to hang out. I love to message people on Messenger, message me, ask me questions. And one day, I hope that you can get hold of the thoughts in your own head and let go of the shame and feel better about yourself too.
Absolutely. I will also drop the links in the description in case they need them in a different manner, but if they're just listening, they can still find you. Thank you so much for joining me today. It has been an honor, and I have learned so much today. Just in the short amount of time that we've spoken, I very much appreciate it. Um, yeah, your story is inspirational, but not just that, your willingness to be open about it. I think it's so needed in this space to have entrepreneurs and other women that are so willing to share their story, to not only let us know we're not alone, but to take pieces from it to use in our own journeys. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome. It's been such a pleasure. Thanks, Jessica.
Thank you. And for those of you out there facing your own adversity, know that you're not alone. That's the whole reason we're doing this. When you need an extra hand or a mind for brainstorming during your mompreneur journey, we would love to work with you through the Mom Elevated Society. You'll find monthly check-ins for goal setting and assessing, but also so much more for both your business and your mom life. And until next time, keep shooting for the stars.